Children with autism are colorful, they are often very beautiful. And like the rainbow, they often stand out. In this video we shall learn about the interprofessional approach to counseling an anxious mother having a child with developmental delays and autistic features. Let us delve into the need for interprofessional approach. Autism is a spectrum disorder. Hence the combination of many colors represents two important aspects. Firstly, an individual who can perceive the world and communicate in their own way. Secondly, symptoms and presentations also can be variable and unique.
As Dr. Stephen Shore has said, if you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. Each child is different and unique. The interventions which are suggested for the child must be tailor-made for the child's situation. We should take into consideration the child's developmental abilities, verbal and communication skills, level of cognition, parental insight and motivation, and most importantly, the availability of resources to carry out the plan. So what is the need for counseling the mother? She needs to accept the situation and her child's special need. She needs knowledge and skill set to grow along with and support the child. She needs to understand the role of each professional helping her in this regard. She needs emotional and social support. She also needs to retain her individuality, pursue her life and career goals. All she needs is plenty of support and opportunities for her child to be included in the mainstream. An interprofessional approach will thus foster better opportunities for her child. Every contribution made by the team can be a change maker for that child. It will help our medical fraternity and our society as a large overcome all these perceived barriers. Most importantly, it will promote inclusivity. Let us discuss through this with the story of a little boy who visited us at the hospital. Little Rohan, a 3-year-old boy, was brought to our pediatrician by his mother. Her antenatal period, his birth, and the postnatal period were unremarkable. The parents were both professionals who were at work throughout the day, and Rohan has spent most of his growing years with his maid. Since early infancy, he has been exposed to the television and thereafter to mobile phones and spent almost all his waking hours watching cartoons. The parents tried to play with him when they got back home in the evening, but he preferred playing with the mobile phone. During the previous year, his parents had noticed that he was different from other children. Although his motor development was normal, he still had not started speaking or communicating. He preferred to watch his cartoons or play with cars. He would not respond when called, but he would immediately respond by running to them when the parents asked him if he wanted chocolates or chips. Slowly the parents started noticing that he primarily used proximity to communicate his needs and often took his mother to what he wanted and waited, or he used her hand as a tool and put her hand on the object he wanted. His parents also noticed he spoke to himself while playing and used words which were apparently meaningless. But whenever they tried to communicate with him, he would turn his face away. They were also concerned about his hyperactivity. He couldn't tolerate crowds and noises. His mother observed that he was often lost in his own world. He was engaged in repetitive behaviors like opening and shutting door, eating dirt in the garden. He also loved to line up all his toys, and if interrupted, he would throw a tantrum. He did not like playing with other children. Let us see how interprofessional approach will help us in this situation. Let us address this puzzle, putting one piece of the puzzle together at a time. Like we mentioned earlier, autism is a spectrum disorder with various components of executive function, sensory processing, repetitive behaviors, motor skills, perseverative thinking, social awareness, verbal, nonverbal communication and information processing. The mother should be counseled that a holistic approach is only possible with an interprofessional intervention with following team members: parents, caregivers and family members who are the primary caretakers; pediatrician who would do the diagnosis, treatment and follow-up; psychologist who do developmental assessment, counsel, treat behavioral issues and address social skills; nurses who are involved in medical care; occupational therapists who would address activities of daily living; speech-language pathologists who would address speech issues; geneticists and lab personnel to address the required investigations; neurologist and psychiatrist to address clinical concerns; school staff to address special needs of learning; dietitian to address nutrition and health; The mother should be made aware of the components of medical evaluation like detailed history, examination, diagnosis based on clinical criteria, blood tests, electroencephalogram, neuroimaging and genetic tests. The clinical, social, emotional and financial support through these interventions should also be addressed accordingly. She should also be made aware of various forms of therapy addressing visuospatial skills, eye-hand coordination, affinity or aversion to sensory inputs, fine motor abilities, attention to pictures, alphabets, numbers, reciprocal play and turn-taking abilities based on the assessment of the therapists. Remember, the interprofessional plan should address multiple areas such as communication, social skills, behavior, daily living, motor skills, and learning. Early and intensive treatment has been shown to be much more effective than treatment that is delayed. Involvement of the parents or caretakers in this interprofessional process is critical. The mother is the co-therapist. The mother should be constantly supported and empowered. Child's progress should be monitored and documented, and only then can the interprofessional intervention model's effectiveness be gauged. An African proverb goes, "It takes a village to raise a child." That means that an entire community of people must interact with children for those children to experience and grow in a safe and healthy environment. An apt summarization for an interprofessional approach to address children with autism and developmental delays. An autism diagnosis is life-changing, not life-defining. Together we can make a better world. Thank you.